with a sack.
Switching my thoughts, I'm bipolar. I stare in the eyes of a cobra. Say you won't smoke, come get it. Come on, you wanna play dumb, I'm with it. I'm about to take over the city. I came with my committee gang with it.
Now the first third down of the night, 3rd and 2, and Ingram makes his second catch, and it's just a tremendous open field tackle by Grant Delpit.
That's a whole body. On the dark side, it can get cold.
Open field tackle, as good as you will see from a safety.
I can ride till I progress. Skeleton on my left wrist in the soul place. On my knees, thanking God that He got me through the pain. Danger, I don't fit in, I'm a stranger. Believer, I can take out all the evil. Empowerment to all my people. I can prove to you I'm a leader.
It just goes to the highlight tape.
Forgive me, cause my life illegal. Searching for the bag and the prize. On the mission looking.
He'll come eventually. Neal lets it go, batted away, and it falls incomplete. Grant Delpit, preseason All-American.
Cause where I'm from, we don't play like that on the outside. Better not free, cause we know you gon' choke. Top behind my back, boy, your shots backfire. I know you tried, but you never could survive. I see the fetus in your eye.
Hey, welcome. Yes, it's UK Cowboys TV Season 1, Episode number 40. So we're getting ever so closer to that 50, which when we hit that 50th episode, we're going to have a big party, lots of whiskey, lots of buckfast. But how are you guys? It feels like months since I've spoken to you. I know it's only been a few weeks since we've been off. You know, obviously we took a bit of a break while the playoffs were going on. But it feels like months since I've seen you both. You all okay over there?
Yeah, oh good man. It feels just like, I think it was like since I was on the show, it was like well before Christmas or something like that. I think. Or just after Christmas. But it's been a while.
Yeah. It feels a while, mind you. Yeah. I mean, it's one of them things where you take a couple of weeks off and then you just like, wait, my life's changed. What's going on? Everything's different. I feel empty inside. But yeah, we're guys to talk all things draft. So I like to do this when it comes to draft time. So I got my own little draft board going on. Once it's finished and the combine, which is at the end of February, I'll put the combine results in. And what I'll do is I can always email you this draft board. It's got all my scout reports on it. It's Jonesy's seen my scout board, my big board. They're quite detailed. But okay, the guys last week on the last episode, they started the kicked off the off-season program for UK Cowboys TV. Spoke a bit about coaching and the roster, which neatly ties in with what we're going to be talking about this week. But you guys want to touch on anything that Lauren and the guys were speaking about last week at all?
I'm fine to go ahead, man.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I suppose it's the first chance we've had to talk about it, and as I said during the season, I wasn't sure who I wanted coming in as head coach. I think McCarthy's a safe pair of hands. Yep. I think this is Jerry's last throw of the dice, really, before he hands it over to Stephen. So he's going all in to win. I think we said this pre-season. I thought we'd maybe a 2 or 3 year window. That still applies. So he's given it the best chance they can. So, you can't be but, excited about the coaching staff he's brought in. There's a lot of former head coaches in the NFL with a lot of experience there, so that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So, in terms of coaching, I'll go with you first, Paul, on this one, since you've been away the longest. In terms of coaching with Mike and obviously with Nolan as well as the new defensive coordinator. So what sort of, in terms of, because this is the draft show, what do you think in terms of drafting philosophy they're going to be aiming down? Do you think there's one that you can narrow down where they're going to be going? Or do you think it's just at this stage completely random?
In terms of who we're going to be picking in our first round, I generally think it's going to be somewhere in defense. Either it's going to be defensive tackle or Safety. That's the only two. If it's not one of the two, I'd be quite surprised because I think they're the biggest need for us right now. And I'm really interested to see how our new D-line coach, Jim Tilsula, is going to evaluate everything in that as well, because he's going to be under Nolan's defensive coordinator scheme, what that may be, if it's going to be a free front or a full front, or it could be a hybrid type of D-line. I don't know. We don't know yet. So it remains to be seen what to expect. But I think it is more likely that it's going to be a safety.
I'm thinking. I'm with you there. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be safety, because I'll come back to that in a moment, which is something I was thinking about today. But I do think it's going to be defensive back, because the only reason I'm saying on the verge of safety is, what if they do a deal, right? We'll break this further down now into a bit more detail.
You're not going to mention Jamal Adams, are you?
No. That ship has sailed.
I just opened up the
what I was going to say is, what if we got...
I thought this was going to be breaking news here.
Imagine it. No, but what I was thinking is, the reason I'm saying defensive back is, what if they done a deal and they got Amari, Dak, and Byron Jones all done? But the reason they get the Byron Jones deal done is to move him back to safety.
The safety? I prefer them at corner. I don't know.
A bit more. He's had more experience, so it's in his mind. He's still got the athleticism because he's still young.
Oh, yeah.
But now he's got the experience in his mind, because you got to think safety, a lot of it is what you read in, what's in front of you. But you don't think, no, Brian? Not for you?
No. If we are retaining Byron Jones, and I'll come to this in a second, because I think this might be something you're trying to get at. If we're retaining Byron Jones, he stays at cornerback. We messed him around far too much in his rookie contract. We started him for the first year at corner, shifted him to safety, moved him back to corner. For the last 2 years, he's been a shutdown corner. You don't move a guy like that back to safety. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And just to add on top of Brian's saying, it's like we are a bit out of depth with safety at the moment, because look what's happened to Jeff Heath at the moment. He's becoming more injured as it comes now, like busted shoulders and whatever. So I just think there is a more need for that specific hard hitting safety. And I totally agree with what Brian was saying there, but not moving Byron there. Keep him at corner.
Yeah, okay. So looking at the roster, let's break it down, so then we can start getting through it. We'll just look at the I did say earlier about the wide receivers, but I think what we'll do today is we'll just look at defensive side. Defensive tackle, safety, cornerback. Next week we'll go on the offensive side. But let's go through it, right, guys? So in the draft, let's just talk about day 1 and day 2, right? Just to keep it simple. Are they drafting quarterback?
No.
Are they drafting a running back?
No.
Can't see it.
A wide receiver? Or is that a borderline one where you could see it being maybe a round 3, round 4 pick?
If we don't get an Amari deal happen, then something. But it's unlikely. I don't see it happening. I just see it's too much on the defensive side that is much more needed.
Okay. So you think no wide receiver in the first 2 days? No? Okay. Offensive tackle?
Offensive tackle?
Yeah.
Question mark. I'm not too sure.
Possible on the line. So like one of them.
In the second round, possibly, but not in the first round.
Yeah. Okay. So let's put like a dash through that then. So possible, right? Yeah. Okay. Offensive guard.
No.
No.
I think they're all right with it with me. And then a replacement for Travis Frederick in centre.
No.
No, we've got Joe Looney's done a great job helping out with that. So,
and Conor McGovern can play centre as well.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so out of all the offensive positions, really, we're only looking at offensive tackle, borderline wide receiver, depending on what happens with Amari Cooper, and don't forget as well what goes on with our slot receiver as well. Can't forget about what's going on with Randall Cobb.
Don't forget tight end.
I missed tight end. Yeah. Tight end. That is a big mistake. Okay, tight end. First 2 days.
Second round.
Possibly third, I think, actually, looking at it.
If someone falls into their lap.
Yeah.
The only issue I've got, right, with tight end in this year's draft, right, we've been spoiled over the last couple of years. Last year was just phenomenal for tight end. I mean, it was a crazy tight end draft.
I'll tell you about it. Like Hawkinson for the Lions, he's going to be some player for them.
You just look at the last couple of years. It's been brilliant. The only thing I would say this year with tight end is they are pretty good at the top, but the talent gap when it drops off is steep. As soon as those couple of players, the talent gap just absolutely sheds down the line.
Yeah, it's not like a gradual moving down the line. It's just a complete slump.
Oh yeah, straight away. Yeah. I mean, you could probably argue that you've got Randy Moss's son, who's really he's at the very edge of that gap, and then after that, but even when you look at Moss, I still wonder about him. Do you know what I mean? Because there's just he's not a dynamic athlete is his issue.
I definitely think he's more of a receiver than an all-purpose tight end. Like throughout LSU, like
high on catching.
I don't see him doing much like doing really good solid blocks to help the O-line at all for like run plays or like slowing defensive ends down to like for play action or something like that. But I've seen, but most of the footage I've seen of Moss is all about him and his catching ability, like his dad, pretty much.
Yeah, it is one of his biggest strengths is his passing. I got him high on catching. I do have him quite high on blocking, but more when he's one-on-one. If you watch him when he gets double teamed in blocking, or when he gets anchored into a block, he cannot block shed at all. Yeah. And when that happens, he's just stuck there. So tight end. I know we waffled on slightly there. Tight end, then is that a day one, day two pick for you guys? A definite tick, or do you want to put a
day two possibly, depending on who falls. Like, was it you who said that, Brian? It depends who falls in our lap.
Yeah.
Like if there's someone that we know that is actually quite good, and it's just like, why is he not being picked yet? Then it's like, why not?
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. So
I'm just looking at the tight ends here, and there's just no consensus in draft rankings at all.
There isn't.
They're all over the board. There's, like if you look at it, like Chase Young and Joe Burrow are your 1-2, but when you look at your tight ends, everyone has a different tight end as their tight end one. Do you know it? It's just all over the place. So it's going to have to be something falling into your lap or something coming out of the combine that you're going, Jesus Christ, this guy is something we need.
And not just that. It's not just that. After the combine, you've got the actual the days with the colleges of open days and that. Yeah. So we wouldn't really know too much about where they're ranked after the combine and following up to the open days. So.
One sneaky one when you're looking at, because I know we're still sticking to the tight end position here. One that seems to be knocking under the radar, who could be a sneaky fit for the Cowboys, is Albert O.
I was just about to say the exact same name.
Yeah, he's a nice little fit, and he's going. He was last year. He wasn't under the radar. But this year, he certainly is.
Yeah.
He's just speaking under the radar. But he's a guy you could take into day 3. So that's something we look for. But we'll put a tick on tight end. And we've got a dash through offensive tackle. So going on the defensive side, so we're going to have a lot of ticks, yeah? Defensive tackle, more specifically 1-3 technique.
Yes. Yes.
That's a pick.
Can we have 2, please?
Yeah, I'll double tick. Defensive tackle. All right, defensive end pass rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it happening. If we don't get Quinn back in and we've got Tyron Crawford coming back as well. If we don't know if he's going to be playing end or he's going to be playing inside, we don't know. Again, we don't know what the scheme's going to be yet. So
he could also be.
That's right. Chris is his salary cap.
Yeah,
it's taking a fair chunk.
Yeah.
So we don't know unless it gets restructured.
Yeah,
I think they'll keep Quinn. I think they will they'll retain Quinn. The only way we don't keep Quinn is if he retires, is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at over the cap here, and if we do cut Crawford, that's an 8 million saving against the cap, which effectively should pay for Robert Quinn.
Yeah, and can you see Crawford coming back from a double hip surgery?
No.
At his age.
No. As much as I love Tyron Crawford, man, I love the guy to bits. But man, that's one of those type of injuries, and man, you're not always going to be the same again. And plus, it's been a whole year out.
Yeah.
It's not had any reps. It's going to be I'll be interested to see how quickly he comes back from like OTAs and stuff like that. See what the coaches think.
Yeah.
So
I personally, I think he's gonna pick up his bags and walk. Personally, but all right then. Let's go. Just generally, we won't bother moving between the positions of linebacker, but generally, are we going to go for linebacker in the first 2 days?
Maybe, because there's I can't remember who mentioned it on our little chat that Sean Lee might be testing free agency, so there's that potential as well. So General Lee might be going. Maybe.
So, would you take a linebacker in the first 2 days?
In the second day, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
depends. Depends who falls in our lap. Like, see if someone that drops.
Yeah.
See if someone who's projected to be a first drops into the second round, and it falls in our lap. I would take him.
Okay. Right.
I'm going to throw it in there if it happens. Yeah. If Isaiah Simmons gets into our range, I'm all over it. If he gets into the range, because the guy can play any of the back 7 positions.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a football player, and that's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you struggle to find a place to put Isaiah Simmons on your roster, then you don't deserve to be a coach in the NFL, because that guy can play anyway. But that's one of the shows we'll do later on is trading up and trading down options. I think he would be a trade up option if push comes to shove.
You're talking about if you're maybe like 4 or 5 places away from where he is, there's that potential you could move up.
And there's a potential when you look at, I mean, the only reason he doesn't fall that far is because he's just so talented in his range of play. But if he did, I think, if you're about 5 positions away, you'd have to trade up. But like I say, that's one of the shows we got lined up later on is our trade down, trade up options. But do we go for cornerback in the first 2 days?
Hell yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
Paul, you weren't sure, but you think
I'm just trying to think. We might actually pick up some people from free agency potentially. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
so
that is true. But what we'll do is we'll just go off what our roster is currently, just to keep things simple.
Oh, from currently. All right. Yeah. Sorry. If that's the case, then yeah.
Yeah. And then safety, I think we're all in agreement. That's a tick as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It has to be like first round or second round. It has to be a safety.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we've narrowed it down that in our first 3 days we have 3 picks, And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 7 positions of need.
Mm-hmm.
So already we need to be looking at trading down options later on in the draft. I don't think early on. I think maybe later down the line. But if we were to say, because offensive tackle was a bit iffy, so we'll cross that off for now, right?
Yeah.
So on offense, we've got tight end. Is tight end more important than any of the other defensive positions? No? Okay, so we'll cross that off. So then, out of our defensive positions, really what we're looking at then, as we mentioned at the start of the show, it's going to be defensive tackle, safety, cornerback, or linebacker. What are we thinking?
Cornerback.
I would say more cornerback, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so really, in our first 3 days, then what we're saying, just by breaking what the roster is and our needs, we're looking at defensive tackle in any discernible order here. Defensive tackle, safety, and cornerback. Yeah.
Yep.
All right then. There we are. That breaks that neatly down, and moving into the next section then, right, guys? Who wants to take us up first on defensive tackle? If we go with Derek Brown, is he an option? I suppose, yeah, we'll go with Derek Brown, right? Would you say he's a target for the Cowboys, or would you say they're knocking him off the list at this stage?
Potentially. I think he potentially could be looked at. It just depends what he'll... Like, from what I've seen on the game footage and that, he is quite a disruptive nose tackle. But we'll talk about the other guys that we'll mention in a minute. But I would say, from what I've seen... Again, I'm not a coach or nothing like that, but I think he would probably be like third option of the other 2 targets we're thinking about. This is just my opinion. Like, so the other ones, it's Javon Kinlaw and Neville Gallimore. That was the other 2.
Yeah, are the 2 really you're going to be looking at?
Yeah.
I mean, really though, when you look at the guys you just mentioned there, right, Javon Kinlaw, Neville, Gallimore, what you're saying is what's more important then, the 3 tech or the 1 tech?
Well, it depends if you're playing a forefront. So
which is the problem that we're trying to get round to, which is where I was going to go next.
Well, the 1 tech's the most important because they're going to be more heads up against the centre.
Yeah.
So, because if you're a 3 tech, you're going to be offset between the tackle and the guard, and if you're the 1 tech, you're going to be offset between centre and guard. So, to me, it's easily going to be a 1 tech.
Are you going with that, Brian, or are you going 3 tech?
No, I'd agree with a 1 tech. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so really then, what you're saying is, based on what we're looking at, really then, is Gallimore is going to be the biggest target for defensive tackle for the Cowboys at this stage, because he is a 1 tech. Whichever way you look at it, I actually think, if I'm right, no, he's not the biggest guy. The next guy is
not.
No. Leki Fotu is actually the heaviest and biggest defensive tackle in the draft.
He is a big boy.
He's a monster.
What weight is he?
Which one now? Fotu or Gallimore?
Fotu.
The other one.
Fotu is just shy of 340 £. And just shy of 6'6". Yeah.
That is a holy.
Yeah, he's a monster. The only trouble is go on.
Once this show's done, I'm going to check up some highlight clips of this boy, man. Honestly, if that's the case.
The only thing I will say about Fotu is you'll notice it straight away. He's not the most agile. He's a pure bull rusher, and that's it. But you're your typical old school 1 tech who's just hat on hat. He's going to drop the anchor and just that's it. He's going to eat up blocks.
Yes. So this is why I wanted to kind of talk about Gallimore, and from the footage I've seen of him, man, like he's got the quick hands. He's got the agility, the speed he comes off when the ball snaps. and that's something we are kind of lacking. Like, he's no just being too lateral. He comes forward when that ball gets snapped. And that's the one thing I've noticed when it comes to our current defensive line. It's like we're just taking that sidestep to try and like get into position into the gap. No, he just takes that 45-degree angle, still going forward. Now, from what that I'm trying to remember what game it was. I think it was against Florida, and he just absolutely destroyed the centre, left, right, and centre. Yeah. see what I just did there?
Okay, so let me put it to you this way then. Have you got a take on Kinlaw then, Brian?
I would move heaven and earth to get him.
Yeah. Okay. So what makes him better than Gallimore?
I think just looking at the numbers alone are staggering for Kinlaw. I'm just getting to them, like, 17 sacks.
Yeah.
82 tackles. 17 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 82 combined tackles. He's just, and I can understand the love for Neville Gallimore. The only issue I have with him is he plays in the Big 12. It's a weak conference, and when Oklahoma went outside of that, when they've played in the national championship semi-finals in the last 2 years, they've been destroyed. Yeah. They've been absolutely handled and at ease. So I would lean toward. I definitely, Brown would be the guy I would take, and then Kinlaw's just a game wrecker.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, the story as well with Kinlaw, his backstory, that this is a guy who comes from a very poor home, like homeless. His family were homeless. And this guy was just going out, doing his thing, just playing football. Like, there's actually a funny story with Kinlaw, is you'll notice a drop in his production. I forget which year it is. And because he's come from this poor background, like, it didn't bother him, he just carried on as normal. So he was in JUCO, right? And while he was in JUCO, he's a big defensive tackle. They ended up having him running sprints with the skill players because he was that fast. Yeah, that he was running with the defensive team and he was just out sprinting them by a long way. So they made him run sprints with the wide receivers, right? This is the type of guy he was. And then they realized how athletic he was. And then he took a dip, right? Because then when he moved university to South Carolina, he didn't realize that while you're on a scholarship, you get your food in the canteen for free. And he didn't know this, so he never bothered going. Once he found out, he was in the canteen every day and he piled the weight on and he got a drop in production. And that's the only reason. The only reason he had a drop in production. But his story is incredible. His backstory. Like, I was listening to him talking in an interview, and there's like talks of like his parents, with 2 saucepans, boiling water so they could have a shower out of a bucket. That's the background. But what it done is it's created in his mind as well this never give up mentality. Do you know what I mean? Fight for everything, tooth and nail. So to me, I think Kinlaw is the better prospect. This is where we land on it. He's more skillful, but Gallimore is probably something more based on what we know, right? Because we don't know what the coaching's going to do at this point. We still don't know whether they're going to change defensive schemes. Yeah, so we'll just go with what we know, and what we know is that the Cowboys are a 4-3 defense. I think Gallimore is the better fit, but I wonder if by doing that, you lose the better prospect. What do you guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about. And Brian mentioned this earlier. If for some reason Gallimore even falls into the second round, like, because a lot of people don't have it as high up, compared to Kinlaw and Brown, which I can completely understand. But
do you think Gallimore's a guy that falls down to 51st? I think it's 51st, the Cowboys' second pick.
Yeah.
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 I don't think he'll go all the way down to 51st, because there will be other teams that need the exact same problem we've had throughout the season. Like the Browns, as an example, they are lacking nose tackle as well. So I could see them potentially going for for a defensive tackle. So,
Okay.
but that's just one of few teams, because if it was me, I do tend to more. I do think about it. Kinlaw is like, if he's there, we need to get him. Even if we trade up maybe 2 or 3 places to get him. Like, but see if it's like see if we know if there was a team that was in really high need of a defensive tackle before us, I would try and do anything in my path to try and get ahead of them.
Okay. So let's say then that we're up to the so we're picking 17th. So we're up to the 13th pick in the draft, and both Kinlaw and Gallimore are there. What do you think the Cowboys should do?
It would be Kinlaw, based on the ability wise. But in terms of fit, again, it's a really tough one. I think it's going to be a really big discussion between like Mike Nolan and Jim Totsula, like to talk to Mike McCarthy and to Jerry. It's just going to be a big collaborative effort to decide what fits the team much better and what they think they can bring the best out of them. But we'll find out more about that when it comes to the combine. But for me, for best fit, it will be Gallimore. But in terms of athletic ability and potential, it would be Kinlaw.
Okay. All right then. Talking just slightly. Go on, Brian.
Qualify slightly there. I actually have a feeling this is going to be more of a scouts draft than a coaching staff draft.
Yeah, definitely.
This was kind of something that I saw Graham talking about during the week or in the last episode. You know, he was saying we've had a bust in the last couple of drafts, and the reason that is, in February, in March, Rod Marinelli walked into the room, disregarded what the scouts said. We ended up with Taco Charlton and Tristan Hill. Taco is gone. Tristan Hill hasn't done anything. And I think this year, and in previous years, when it was left to Will McClay to do the draft, look at what we got. Every guy that they picked has been an All-Pro. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to go back to what we know works and let Will McClay draft the players.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Totally agree.
And then, just as my little outsider, do not sleep on Justin Matabuke from Texas A&M.
Yes.
He's a guy who you're going to start hearing over the next few weeks. Just every now and then, a little snippet will just come in Cowboys camp, like, oh, what about the guy from Texas A&M? You know, who's this man? And they'll try and pronounce his name, but
24.5 tackles for loss, 11 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's in the SEC.
That's right.
You know,
yeah.
Like that's not, you know, you're not playing against dentists there. It's, you know, the best of the best. And
Exactly.
Smash mouth football.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's looking at the defensive tackle side. Let's look at the all-important safety. So something people have been talking about all season, even before the season kicked off last year, people were talking about safety. So Xavier would you say he had a good season or a bad season, or just somewhere in the middle?
I would say in the middle. He had his moments, but yeah, I just think as though there's just not enough competition to kind of make them step up.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget they took Donovan Wilson as well in last year's draft.
Yeah. But I think Paul makes a very good point in what he says, because if you look at last season, we went in, we knew Jeff Heath was one of the safeties and Xavier Woods was the other.
Yeah.
We had Darian Thompson behind them, who didn't get in till the middle of the season, and Donovan Wilson was injured for most of the season. So there was no one to push them on. There really wasn't. So, like, I wouldn't say they were in the comfort zone, but I would think collectively both safeties played below average.
Okay.
Like, I think what was there one interception between them all season?
Yeah.
That's atrocious. And I mean, I say that as the biggest Jeff Heath fan in the world. It's atrocious.
Yeah, I don't think it was one of Heath's best seasons when he was fully fit. Just because when you kind of look at the stats as well, it's like most of our tackles, like depending on what the coverage was, we weren't doing much blitzing at all. Really, it was, and it was like it was all down to our linebackers end of the day.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the question then, the one that everybody's talking about at the moment: Grant Delpit or Xavier McKinney? What's everyone's takes?
I'm on record. I said it.
I know you
very
are,
early in the season. Grant Delpit was the pick for me. This was before we knew we were at pick 17. I would have traded up to get him. I know he's not a great open field tackler, but the guy can get the ball. Don't look overly at this season's tape. Look at the 2018 tape. The guy is just freaking awesome.
That is my biggest issue with Grant Delpit is if you said to me, we're drafting Grant Delpit from 2018, I'd be like, sold.
Yeah.
But then, like I was saying to you earlier on in the season when we were talking about this, I was saying to you, well, I don't know, Xavier McKinney's looking much better this season because Delpit, he had an injury. I think it was his shoulder. Was it a shoulder injury?
Yeah, it was a shoulder.
Yeah. And since then, the production just disappeared. I mean, he was gone for most of the season until obviously we get into the championship, and all of a sudden you've seen the old Grant Delpit come back. I say old; he's only like 21, but
you saw that 2018 Grant Delpit.
Yeah, they came back. Whereas McKinney, for me, has just got that record of consistency. It's always there. It's not as high. So here's what I say if you guys agree to this, right? Grant Delpit has the higher ceiling, but Xavier McKinney has the higher floor.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I definitely would. That's a fair assessment, yeah.
So what do you think, given, right, the fact that it's a new coaching staff, do you think that they want to go with something a bit safer, or do they want to make the splash?
Knowing Jerry, I could see it being more of a splash, to be fair.
I think so too, yeah. I mean, the thing you've got with Xavier McKinney is he does have the issue sometimes of letting the odd tackle slip by him. But the one thing he does do is if he tackles you, whoever that player is going to feel it. If you just watch his tape or even just his highlight, you YouTube Xavier McKinney highlight, all you're going to see is just smash, it's tackles where he's dipping the hip and the shoulders and he's going in hard. And you see those players at the floor and you're like, yeah, that look, he stung a bit.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the numbers and I've a great one there that's going to support you, Mike.
Go on then.
6 forced fumbles.
Yeah. He is.
That's
absolutely pile drives the ball carrier.
Yeah.
They are very different in terms, mind you, of style of safety. So, I mean, it's completely dependent, really, what you guys think. You've got one guy who's better at the back playing forward and one guy who's better at playing forward coming back. So, to you guys, what do you think's a better fit for the Cowboys?
Well, go on ahead, Paul.
Safety, I'm not entirely too sure, so I'm letting you take charge of this one, mate. You know me, I'm a D lineman, so that's all I know.
Well, look, any sport I played, I've always liked I've liked playing at the back where I have a full view of the pitch, and that's the kind of player I like. The coaching staff highlighted this in that they want ball hawks, they want guys who are going to break up the play, and that is why I would lean toward Delpit, because he's in his college career. 8 interceptions, 24 passes defended. Yeah. He's more solo tackles than McKinney.
Yeah.
And, just the numbers are slightly better for him. But, that's why I think. And I do think they want to make a splash this year. Like, you have to remember, this is our first coaching change in 9 years. And what happened when we took Jason Garrett on? We made a splash and took who?
Go on, Bri. Finish it off.
Des Bryant. We went up and got Des. So I don't think they're going to make a huge splash, but I think they want a marquee signing.
No, Brian, they will make a splash. The draft is in Las Vegas, remember?
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, it's honestly, man, just to add on what you said there, in terms of like turnovers and stuff like that, it's one thing we've definitely kind of really lacked this year is actually trying is getting the ball, and if we can get a safety, it can turn things around like that. I'm sold. So
yeah. I mean, like, basically, to put it into perspective for you, Grant Delpit, a lot of people, even if you listen to NFL.com, they were talking about...
Delpit's the LSU guy, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah. He actually, in the semi-finals, I think it was, he was, like, instrumental in helping LSU get that win. He just, like, all of a sudden, he just turned up, he came back, and it was like, whoa... Yeah. He was in 1-on-1 situations, and he was winning them. He was winning that battle, and you were like, "Oh, right, okay, he's back." But to put it in perspective, you what? Sorry, say that again.
This is in the Oklahoma game, yeah.
Yes. He was like he was on fire.
Yeah, he did really stand out from that.
Yeah. But they were talking about Delpit, and they were saying that a good comp for him is Eric Berry.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you an idea of the sort of safety the Cowboys will be getting if they take Delpit, I need to do a bit more because I haven't quite got to the safeties. I'm almost through on my pass rushers, so I haven't done a deep dive into Xavier McKinney. I just basically going off what I've seen through the season, but it'd be interesting to see what comes out the other side, what he's like, so we can compare the two. Because we'll always come back to this because this is what we're doing today, just the first round. So the combine's going to happen, things are going to change, and everything that we've said today would have been pointless.
I'll be very interesting to see everyone else's mock drafts as well. I've been really to see where their heads at as well.
I think almost every mock draft I've seen for us has been McKinney or Delpit.
Yeah,
it makes one or the other.
It makes the biggest sense.
I tell you what, boys. If we do get Delpit.
Go on.
Sorry, that just went a wee bit weird there.
No, it's all right. It went silent, too, then.
A poor connection. If we do get Delpit, there's one person I can really think of at the top of my head. It's going to go absolutely bonkers, and that's Dave Hellman.
Yeah.
He will go absolutely bonkers if we went for him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we've been trying to narrow it down for the first round, from the start of this show to now. I think when you start breaking it down, really, when you look at the two players, right? So we was talking about, the Kilmore, Gallimore, what you would do there. So let's now narrow it right down again, right, guys? Because this really will help us solidify what we think the first round pick will be. So you have in your bag, you've got Kinlaw, right? And we're right back where we said earlier, right? At pick number 13, right? We've got Gallimore available, right? And then we've got McKinney and Delpit still there.
Well, if it was that, I would probably.
Well, let's go one down. Let's go 12. Let's really make it tricky. Yeah. Now, what are you doing? Are you hanging fire because, right, you've got 4 of your best picks available and you're 5 picks away? And let me see.
So who's ahead of us? I'm just trying to think draft. I'm just
bringing up the draft order now.
Yeah.
So that will help. That'll help you a little bit. Right. So.
Well, at least it's not the Bengals.
Yeah.
It's not them. No, it's not them. Hold on. I turned my computer off.
Hold on.
There we are. Right. Okay. So if we say we're picking it at 12, and then we'll wrap this. We'll wrap the show up here. So draft order. They always say never leave dead air, don't they?
Nah.
Right. Okay. Draft order. So before us. So if we say we're at 12, yeah. We've got the Las Vegas now Raiders at 12. Yeah. They're gonna go defense, I think. You got the Colts.
They don't need a safety.
They don't need a safety. No, I think
they
don't
need a safety.
No.
Yeah, just he'll be coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the Colts. You got Tampa Bay, Broncos, Falcons, then the Cowboys. So it's actually quite a bit of a nasty run on defense, to be honest with you. You got a little bit of sprinkling of offense. Tampa needs offense. Colts.
I could see. Yeah, Broncos need offense. They definitely don't.
They need
definitely
offense.
Not.
Broncos need offense.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yep, definitely.
Falcons are defense. Definitely.
Falcons, I don't see them taking defensive line. I would say I could see them maybe take a linebacker for it.
Yeah, I was thinking like pass rusher.
Well, they've got Tack McKinley.
They've Tack McKinley, yeah.
Yeah.
So else did you mention?
So we at number 12. We're at pick 12, and it's on the Las Vegas Raiders. Just kudos for the nice stadium. Looks lush.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you got the Las Vegas Raiders at 12, Indianapolis Colts at 13, Tampa at 14, Denver at 15, and Atlanta at 16. Right, and you've got your 4 big guys there. And I think you're going to lose one of them at that point. Possibly 2. Maybe, no, 1.
No, definitely one of them.
Definitely 1. Possibly 2, because I'm not entirely sure what the Colts are going to do.
Yeah.
I could see, I think they may go offense.
I think they go wide receiver, the Colts.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And even the Raiders as well. I think the Raiders might go wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because who's that? Is it Renfrew?
Renfrew.
I saw. Renfrew. The
Tyrell Williams.
And the best player in terms of catching was the tight end, the guy that just came back from
Waller.
Oh God. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
So,
like, I'm just looking, just 2 picks after us, the Raiders are there again. So I don't think the Raiders are going to move out of 12.
No.
Unless they try and move up.
I think they'll trade down personally because they don't have a second round pick.
Here's. I know this is getting slightly off it.
Yeah.
Look, the Las Vegas Raiders go totally nuts. Trade 12 and 19 to try and get into number 1.
Oh,
And go for the ultimate splash.
That would be the complete and crazy splash. Yeah.
John Gruden, I can actually see him really actually thinking about that as well, because
Yeah, with Gruden, anything goes, man.
Yeah.
But if you talk about the 4, then Kinlaw, Gallimore are our 2 defensive tackles that we're looking at. And we said if we were going to go over it, we go Kinlaw over Gallimore if they were both available.
Yeah.
So then you've got Delpit and McKinney there.
Delpit.
So you're saying you're going to go Delpit over McKinney. So then, which is more important, right? We're at the pick number 12, right? We're at the Las Vegas Raiders. You got Kinlaw and Delpit there. Are you going up to get either of them at that point?
No.
No.
You're just going to steady the course, wait for it to come to you?
It costs us too much. It's going to cost us a 2nd round pick.
Definitely.
And here's my kind of thinking. If we get Delpit in the 1st round, we could move up in the 2nd round and get Gallimore that way if he's still there. Because Kinlaw will be gone by then, for sure, in the 1st round, regardless.
Yeah.
More leaning towards Gallimore in the first place, because I can see him more landing towards us, because I can see other teams going after him more, he might be going way before us, maybe top 10, perhaps, depending how he does in the combine and whatever on that. But again, still to say, but again, I think 1st round definitely different. I think.
Yeah. I'm totally with you there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of 1st round, then really what we're going to be looking at is the battle between Delpit, McKinney, and the battle between Kinlaw and Gallimore. But really, what we're saying is you're going to let the ball come to us and take one of those 2 players.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right then. But next week we will look into offensive options in day 1 and day 2. So we'll look at some wide receivers, offensive line guys, take a dive into them, and then we'll start doing some live mock drafts, which should be quite interesting. But we do have some special guests coming up. You might have heard a few names being thrown around. So we got
nothing.
Just so we do have some guests coming up. Some you know, some you might not as well. But as of from this week for us, if you guys want to say goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you all again next week.